It's that time again. Hi, everybody, all over the world. Oh my God, I have no idea what's happened to my voice. I think it's just gone. It's gone on holiday because the rest of me didn't. Hi, everyone. I'm Russ Kane. Welcome, as always, to The Daily Show here on Men's Radio Station. Always time for this. This is, this is one of the best things I bought, right? It's an insulated glass mug. Because when you pour coffee or your tea and in 30 nanoseconds, if there's such a thing, just a nanosecond, it's cold, right? Where it gets tepid. So this, I thought I'll give it a go. And I didn't have much hopes for it, but it's glass walled and it's double walled and it actually works. So cheers, my dears, all over the world. Oh, right. You know him. You love him. Please welcome Neil Long.
Greetings and good afternoon. Thank you for having me back, Russ. Longy here at your service, ready to take it all in and offer a few gems of wisdom.
I was moving on, but your friend Robert Van Buren. Hello, Russ.
Oh, shut up, RVB.
Will Neil turn up? Yeah, I think so. I think so.
Stop being such an anorak, RVB. You're an anorak.
Yeah, we like anoraks. Good afternoon, Mr. Kane. So you, whoever that is, it says Facebook user.
Hello, Facebook user.
You're looking at us, and hello, on what's it called, Espresso Bar, and Elizabeth Green coming in live and wonderfully direct from Manhattan itself, right in the heart of New York City.
Very cool.
Hi, Elizabeth. And Paul Claridge, having a good day. Paul, I'm wishing you better. Blooming heck.
I've got a story about Manhattan.
Did it transfer to Spurs, or what did it do?
No. We flew to New York from Ottawa. It was a very, very short flight. Me and my daughter, and we had to circle Manhattan because they couldn't land the plane. And bless my daughter, she was terrified. But there's a couple sitting next to us, a Christian couple, because I could tell because they had a Bible with a bookmark in it. And the woman started praying for my daughter, and the bloke was on his cam going, "Oh my God, this footage is fantastic!" It was such good footage, circling Manhattan. He thought we could probably sell it online. I think.
Please, Ian Foreman. Essex calling. Good afternoon.
Right, geezer.
Yeah. Part the escort.
Good to have you along here.
What? Sorry, what?
I was just saying hello to Ian.
Yeah, no, I'm just, giving it the full Essex shoulder movement. Geezer. If you're watching from America, you probably, you know what I mean, won't get it. Tell you what, give it a wallop, give it a portion, know what I mean. And from there, we go up to Fife in Scotland.
Greetings.
Hello, Sue Sleet, who's right on the coast there, right on the coast. Hands up, Neil Long, who remembers the Starlight Rooms, Enfield?
The name's familiar. I've never played there, Ian.
Yeah. Was that when you were playing for Man U or when you were playing for Chelsea?
No, it's when I was playing for Capital.
Oh, right, playing for the Capital. Right. Do you know what? Should we bring on our guest? Because it's a huge subject that we're going to talk about today, and it's a very important subject, and it's something that we see every single. Oh, look, Ian Foreman's this is it. You get to our age, I can't remember anything. You did, and so did I. So apparently, you played. Oh, I don't know. I don't know. I have no idea. But there we go. That was the...
PM me, Ian. I'm going to have to go back in the memory banks. I remember playing Ealing. I think that's as far north as I went.
Yeah.
West.
Sexual Ealing. Who couldn't love it?
PM me.
Before I bring on the first guest, I just want to give everybody a little word of warning. Here's fun. So last night, I opened a bottle of wine. I felt like a drink. So I opened this bottle of red wine, pull out the cork with my corkscrew, and suddenly my kitchen is full of red wine. It's like a flood. And I'm looking, going, what the bloody hell's going on here? What the hell? I'm looking everywhere. And as I pulled the cork out, somehow, just below the neck, not my neck, the neck of the bottle, it had fractured. Fractured. So the wine was just lashing out everywhere. Still tasted fine.
Yeah.
The glass.
For our listeners in Essex, there was claret all over the place.
No, what I mean. Right, let's bring on our very first guest. It's going to be interesting. Hello there. How are you?
Hello, Russ. Hello, Neil.
I have met this man before. This man is doing brilliant things. Welcome, Jonathan.
Thank you very much for having me. I'm excited.
How do you two know each other? What's going on here?
Oh, we go back at least.
What have I missed?
Yeah, at least half an hour. What was it? Who was it? Why did we get to speak to each other?
Mark Jarrett.
That's the one.
Oh,
there
through Mark. It's through Mark, is it? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I must introduce you to Mark Jarrett. I think I already did.
You did. I've never had so many WhatsApp messages in my entire life.
Yeah. I know. The man is.
Some of them are great, and some of them are just like, this isn't my problem. I'm not getting involved in this. Thank you very much. But thank you for the introduction. Right, Jonathan McDonald. You're the co-founder of Social Me Too. It's something which goes to the very, very heart of men's radio station, and to be honest with you, women's radio station as well. Bullying. Let's start talking to us about it. It's a ghastly, horrible, horrible thing.
Yes. So essentially, I have only been on LinkedIn in the last 2 years in my current roles, and to give you an idea of how much of a Luddite I am, that is my phone.
Get out. Jeez. I feel like I'm watching a Steven Seagal film from the 90s.
Yeah. I mean, it's a modern phone, but
is it? Well, by prehistoric standards.
Yeah, I used to have a Nokia 6310, but the battery. I know. Anyway, so I'm not a social media person, and I built contacts, and we all networked virtually throughout the lockdowns, and I met various people and started to build teams and started speaking to women.
Hang on, under what guise? So you're building this up, but under what's the concept behind you're building it up?
So a female connection said to me, oh yeah, like a matter of fact, she said, oh yeah, I get 2-3 DMs a day, people saying to me, oh, you're so beautiful, do you want to marry me, or something more based
direct,
than that.
A little bit more direct.
Very good word.
Thank you. That's what we're looking for.
And I'm then aware, because once you go bing and your awareness is up, and then you look at politicians, female politicians especially, getting death threats, rape threats.
I had tea with Ruth. I had tea with Ruth Smee, the House of Commons. It was absolutely shocking.
Yeah.
Very nice woman.
So from footballers, from racist abuse, so there is social media has enabled people to reach much further than they can just shouting out their window. And there seems to be, I think it's Schadenfreude, and we're really a product of the TV shows of the last 20-25 years, because magazines and newspapers and TV shows are pretty much all about glorifying in other people's suffering in one format or another.
And also glorifying idiots, by the way.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Glorifying absolutely talentless morons.
I hope we're coming to the end of that. I remember that.
Well, he's still ringing it, Nick. He's still ringing it. They brought back another Britain's Got Talent.
Yeah.
I don't mind that so much. I'm thinking more the Jeremy Kyles and Jerry Springers of this world, which I did used to watch for all the wrong reasons. But since I've got a much greater awareness of mental health, as a mental health advocate, I cannot condone that kind of programming. I just can't. Yes, it's baiting, it's car crash TV, and some people like that, but
it's very unpleasant. Sorry. So, Jonathan, because you can see Neil's passionate about it, I'm passionate about it.
Absolutely, I'm passionate.
All right. So you see this going on.
See the problem. So I am doing video content for LinkedIn, because I'm here I've got a green screen. What can I do? I can do videos. So I start doing videos, having conversations, and people are saying, abusive messages are coming from here, there, and everywhere. So I set up a recording called Abusive Connections, a Male Problem, ? Thinking that it would be nice and simple and that'd be that. And we recorded that, and a girl called Gazelle, who's an amazing woman, currently in Malaysia, told me some stories that rocked me to the core of what she was experiencing. And so I then started...
Which was what? Elaborate.
Which was
You can say what you like. It's not the BBC, so you
Okay,
can just say what you want. We're not censored.
Genitalia and sexual. I mean, like,
you mean
not
dick
sexual
pics, in other
dick
words.
pics.
Yes, lovely.
And so and she said to me during the call, and she goes, it made me cry, and I felt absolutely horrible for her. So I then went, okay, this is a problem on LinkedIn. So I started this group called LinkedIn Me Too.
Now, can I just pause you there for a second? And I just want to say as well, it's really very nice of her. And I just want to jump in and say, hello, Emma Webb. Hello, Linda. Your boy is doing wonders, and he looked so smart the other morning. He looked fantastic. He's got one hell of a job there. My goodness me. We'll talk about that another time. Now, in my kind of simple mind, the way that I look at stuff, LinkedIn really is just for business. I only use that for business.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize until 30 seconds ago, Jonathan, when you said this, that LinkedIn also had sexual content. I understand on Twitter, Facebook, and all the rest of the crap, but LinkedIn for me is purely business, and it's very really formal stuff. I don't do my gags. I don't do any of the other silly nonsenses that I do. Nothing, business only. And you're saying that your introduction to this was through LinkedIn.
Yeah,
I'm staggered.
I'm
extraordinary.
Yeah. And then, so I've then recorded, I think I did about 2 or 3 recordings of a show called LinkedIn Me Too. And then as it started to grow, started getting connected to other women who wanted to be in the show. And at a certain point, we had this meeting, and I went, this is not just LinkedIn, this is everywhere. So I am by nature a very global thinker. So I went away and bought the domain name www.socialmetoo.org. And so if you were horrified by the idea that there's sexual content on LinkedIn, let me properly horrify you now. The website we built is absolutely no registration of any sort or anything. You can leave your stories, victim, survivor, testimonies anonymously, because I realized that what happens is people get things, if they have got a smartphone, it's there. It's right there. It's in your physical
Neil and I
space.
said last week, and we've talked about this so much, Jonathan, like with bullying, especially bullying of girls at school, which is a whole different ball of wax. We can talk about that if we have time. When we were at school, avoiding the saber-toothed tigers on our way, bullying stopped at the school gates. School ended, you went home, you watched
now it's right here.
And now 24/7. And I have friends who've got young daughters, and what happens to them is jaw-dropping.
It is.
And I won't
horrible.
mention any names. But you know who you
are.
Awful, awful, awful.
Let me tell you the horror then. So the inspiration for the way we built the website, was because I saw a breakfast BBC News, and a woman called Soma came on that, and she was talking about a website called everyone'sinvited.uk. And she spoke on one Monday of her in school sexual assault, rape in school.
In school?
In school. And and the following Monday, she was called back because in that 7-day period, 10,000 survivor stories of in school sexual abuse.
No.
Absolutely. The police, there was a BBC story again.
Hang on, Will, I've got to stop you. Hang on. Yep. This is. I knew this would be heavy, but I'm stunned. I've never heard this before. Neil, have you?
Yes, because I've had a conversation with Jonathan before. Otherwise, I wouldn't have.
Never,
only because we're connected before.
Ever come across my desk.
Who would have thought?
So where did you get this 10,000? Can I dig down a little bit more here? Where did the 10,000 figure come from?
That was what they reported on the news. That was why they called it back the following Monday, because 10,000 extra stories. But if you go to the website,
10,000 people went onto this site, or they came?
Yeah.
Who did they come forward to? Just this site?
Just to the site. So that's the point. The trouble is that trauma, when you've got your device here, goes around your head, it goes around your thinking, and it's cathartic to get rid of it. And she knew that as a sexual assault survivor, that being able to speak about it helped her tremendously. But trauma can hold for 10, 15, 20, 30, 40 years before you respond.
Yeah.
Untreated, yeah.
Yeah.
It
So
just festers, doesn't it? It just sits there and it festers. It's hopeless.
So there was in the news, it was another story of 10,000 overall cases between 2015 and 19 that the police are investigating. 2,000 of those, both the perpetrator and the victim were below 10.
What?
Yes. And from your friends' teenage daughters, they won't tell your friends their fathers.
I can't move on from it. Below 10?
Below 10.
So how did we get to
What
this
the
place?
hell?
And why will they not tell their family? Are they scared of being judged? Because if I understand this correctly, it's the victim of the assault that feels soiled and guilty and broken goods and shameful.
Yeah.
There's wonderful lady who I'll mention in a minute, and she might be listening, and she's done a TED talk on why I'm shaming shame. In fact, I'll name her now. Her name is Madeline Black. She's one of my podcast clients. I mean, her backstory is jaw-droppingly horrific, and the work she's doing in the world now is unbelievably inspiring. She's just inspiring people all around the world. She's an incredible woman. I think you probably love to have her as a guest at some point, Russ, but it's just very pertinent to this conversation. Very much so.
God damn. Under 10.
Yeah, and then
I can't get past that at the moment. My head is reeling.
Well, there's more.
Well, hang on. Let's just because we can only take so much horror at one moment. It's like a David Cronenberg film. This show today. So
don't listen. If you want to be horrified, everyone's invited.uk. I could only start to read a bit of one story before it ripped my stomach apart.
Jonathan, I got to ask you this: what if you're under 10? Am I being really dumb here?
I'm not under 10.
Where are they getting this sexualization from? If they're under
that was my question. Why? Where are they getting it from, and why can they not? Why do they think they can't tell their closest relatives? That's what I was getting to say. Are they afraid of? That's how I got onto the shame thing. Are they afraid of being shamed, or that they won't be believed?
I can't speak.
Has Me Too helped this?
Social Me Too.
Look at this. This is coming in.
The general Me Too movement.
Look at that, Kerry Stoneman. You don't tell your parents at the time, as you do feel guilty and dirty, and think you won't be believed.
Yeah, and of course the fault is completely on behalf of the perpetrator, never the person who's having it perpetrated on them, ever.
Indeed.
But it feels that way to them, unfortunately.
It isn't. This goes to so many things. It touches on so many things that we delve into deeply on Men's Radio and the Daily Show. Is this that people turn it and go, it must be my fault? Bullying in the workplace, bullying in a relationship, anywhere. It's like it's got to be my. I'm.
Yeah, and there's plenty of gaslighting going on as well.
And so, it's like, what the hell? All right, Jonathan, we're reeling from this, my friend.
Yes, okay. Well, let me give you a bit more to reel from, and then I'll speculate as to why I think it is the case.
Okay.
So, it is reported more often than not now that every day a teenage girl in secondary school is asked 10 times for nude or seductive pictures. And we started this show talking about how we applauded stupidity and vapidness and superficiality. That's where it's from. Our whole culture for the last 2,000 years, frankly, has taken women and placed them, longer than that, and placed them as not even second-class citizens, but less than, so in the Christian faith, less than the beasts of the field.
Oh God, yeah, I remember that.
You've lost me.
So in
You've
the
lost me
Bible,
here. Right.
the woman is created from Adam's rib,
Yeah.
and he goes through, and God gives him all these animals, and he goes, "Oh no, that's no good, no good." And so after he's created all the animals, he creates women. So just
we
your
got
basic,
there in the end.
yeah. So just your basic Church of England people.
This is why I
If
loathe
you-
religion. But anyway, that's just
Yeah,
me.
but
It's
if
another
you
subject.
really push someone
Mm.
about what they believe, the whole marriage being given away, ownership. Now, if you go to
Yes,
India,
ownership. There it is. There it is. It's the. I mean, the. This is going to sound controversial, but
No, that's why we're here.
the taught perception of man's relationship to God, source, energy, whatever we call it, of that paradigm, is pretty much being an abusive relationship. It's pretty much if it was physical human beings, it would be classed as gaslighting or domestic abuse.
I don't understand how it ever. I'll be honest with you.
However,
and I'm
I
just
don't
going
know.
to say
I mean,
one sentence. I'm going to say one sentence, and I'm going to
Yeah.
duck out of the conversation for another time.
Yeah.
But I don't understand how everyone was suckered into it. I just don't understand. I look at it and I go, "Why are you believe?" If it gives people comfort, I've always said this.
Yeah.
Let me just say this, because I don't want to be rude to people who have faith. If it gives you comfort, then that's a wonderful thing. If it gives you, I have this discussion with Phil Dave a lot. People think we just talk about whiskey, but we don't. We have very different views on stuff, because he's a religious guy, and I'm not, for a whole raft of reasons. And I just think, wow, it's always like it's an angry God. I'm going, well, what do you want to follow? Why? I just don't get it.
Angry with who? If you
were always angry?
If you were everything, if you were the whole universe, what is there to be angry about?
What do you
possibly need?
You've made everything
Crazy.
that's fabulous. What are you upset about? Neil Long at 33 The High Street. It's just bonkers.
I know.
I'm sorry. If you're offended, I apologize. I'm not
but these
knocking
old
you.
ideas are not spiritually or scientifically correct to me, so I've just completely rejected them.
go.
I'm down with some spiritual stuff like meditation, mindfulness, and all that. Anyway.
Well, there you go. Parallel universe. Elizabeth Green from New York is saying this. Jonathan, you're coming back as a guest, my friend. My God, so much to talk about. If you don't like yourself, now this is very interesting from Elizabeth.
Oh yeah.
If you don't like yourself, saying no is hard, even when you're educated and you know what you should say.
What no to pictures?
But when you say, Elizabeth, I'm sorry to drill down a little bit more. But I've met you twice for coffee when you're over from America, and I'm going to ask you this: when you say no, what do you mean? No. Do you mean no? I'm going to be blunt, sexually, or just no, I don't want to do that job, or no, I don't want to meet that person for lunch, whatever. So just what do you mean? And self-worth, of course. But when you're 10 and you're under 10, this whole notion, you haven't had enough time to start thinking about, oh my God, sexually. Oh, well.
Okay, so I'll mention a book that I suggest people read. It's called The Authority Gap. So by the time children are 5, both girls and boys believe boys are more intelligent, even though that actually in their results is not the case.
It's not the case. No,
it's not the case. It's because
students.
We are conditioned. We're conditioned to speak up, to shout out, "Oh, miss, yeah." If a girl does that, oh shit, sit down, don't make a fuss, don't.
Well,
it's what happens.
I'm going to shock everybody. I'm going to shock. I read these things out, Jonathan. You wouldn't know this, but we also go out on deluxe radios. Between 60 and 70,000 people who listen to this show. The show's streamed out with our friend David Winble and the rest of the team over there. So I have to read it out because they're listening; they're not watching at the same time. This is making my stomach knot. I was 8. Jesus Christ! I was 8 and as shy as could be. Elizabeth, I have no words. For once, I don't know what to say to you. I'm going to say nothing because
at that age, you'd be old enough to think you might be being rude by saying no to an authority figure.
God's sake!
Yeah, there's so much education.
I actually feel. I got to be honest with you. I actually feel physically sick.
Do you?
I do. I feel I actually feel. I'm sorry, I don't often get this involved, but on a visceral level, I feel physically sick. I'm going to have to read this one as well. And in a circumstance at school where I was naughty and bright and pushed down, not allowed to bloom in a bright school. Wow. Oh, no, but she's cleared this up. Oh, thank God for that. Not sexually at 8. Sorry.
Right.
All right. Thanks, Elizabeth. Right. Thank God for that. Right. Moving on. Jonathan, I'm shocked.
Yes, and so was I. And it ties in with the main thing I'm doing, because this is this is the so after about the 5th season of Social Me Too, which I've still yet to publish on LinkedIn, I realized that ultimately people that abuse, well, there's a couple of things. So women suffer, my current perception, disproportionately to social media abuse. And ultimately, there is a situation whereby people that abuse have often been abused. And I think there's a whole hidden area of male rape and sexual abuse.
Oh, there is. You should see the messages I receive. I get a lot of private messages, especially when we were looking at the Jimmy Savile thing.
Oh my God.
Creep. And I want to talk about that in a second. And actually, Jonathan, I think I'm going to have you on as one of my experts if you're free. But it's such a huge show to put together. I want to do it absolutely correctly. I don't just want Neil and I doing it. It needs proper experts, and I need doctors and psychologists on it.
I agree.
It's wow. Okay, it's. Move on. I'm sorry. You're making my head spin. This is infinitely worse than I thought it was.
Yeah.
How did we get
infinitely
here,
worse?
Well, listen, ultimately, I've had life experiences and trauma that have required I grow. And part of growing as a person means taking responsibility for your position in a circumstance, irrespective if something else or someone else is to blame. You take responsibility for your own actions. But that is as it turns out, relatively elevated position to take. Most people
do you want to break that down for us a little bit?
It's a more empowering one. I mean, it's kind of I've studied a little bit about this. It's let's say you punch me and give me a bruise. Are you to blame for the bruise? Yes, of course you are. However, the empowering version is, and I do mean, because these teachings aren't particularly common, with the right support, the right therapy, the right help, the right whatever, you can take responsibility. But that's an empowering thing because it puts you back at cause.
Exactly.
And being a cause of your experience is being different from being a victim of it. And it's a subtle thing. Is the person to blame for the assault the victim of it? No. But they don't have to remain in the victim mindset. And I've spoken to many people that have been through this journey, and it's not always easy, depending on the levels of trauma.
I thought you meant is the person who smacked you in the face do you mean is the person who smacked you in the face to blame for the assault? Yeah. Totally.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Will
Are they
Smith.
to blame?
Will
Yes.
Smith.
But am I a victim of that? That depends on the way I look at it. I've got the power to heal. I've got the power to choose how I want to respond. The power is mine.
A victim. Hang on. If you're walking down the street and some, mugger comes up and stabs you, God forbid, in delightful London, where that seems to be okay, but you can't stare at anybody. I've never heard such crap in my life. And this is just disgusting. Anyway, it's another issue that makes my blood boil. But if you take something which goes back to what Jonathan was saying at the front end of the show, the Oscars, a man got up, assaulted another man. That guy, Will Smith, should have been escorted straight out the building and prosecuted.
Good example to use. Is Will Smith responsible for that? Good example to use. Is Will Smith responsible for that?
Totally.
Yes. However, how Chris Rock responds, the way really good way I heard it explained was putting the hyphen in the middle of the word responsibility. Responsibility. If you've got a greater ability to choose and respond, your response to that puts you in the role of creator of your own life rather than a victim of someone else's actions.
Yes.
And it does need help to do sometimes.
In that second, somebody through violence destroyed their career. That guy's finished, and Chris Rock became a hero because And I was talking about this. I was on another. I was on a TV channel this week. And we were talking about it, and we were saying, how did that person continue to perform? Because I don't know about you, Neil. I would have been in such shock. I would have been a mumbling wreck. Never mind about hosting a show with 20 million people.
I thought something hopefully witty at the time, and then afterwards, I'd have probably had delayed shock. I thought, what the hell happened?
Yeah,
but when you've got, you and I both know this very well, Dr. Theatre flowing through you,
sure,
it can do the miracles, which I think Chris Rock did. Plus, he's an incredible professional.
But I don't know if enough people have said bravo to him for carrying. But what you were saying is, just break that down for a second. Then I want to get back to the real meat of why you're
here. Me or Jonathan? Me.
Jonathan, or both of you, really. Then we've got this huge event, and I'm sick to death of talking about it. You're sick to death of hearing about it. But just from Jonathan's perspective, is this a huge event which is meant to be the most glamorous night of the year? Quite simply, the most glamorous. And a guy gets up, has an act of violence, is then rewarded for that by giving an Oscar, and stands there with some bullshit Hollywood speech and crying and all the rest of it. And I'm a work in progress. And I said on TV, this, you're a work in progress. What are you, 12? You're a 50-something-year-old man. Shut up. It was completely uncalled for. And it's unacceptable. But people watching go, well, you know what? That's a green light. Look at this guy. He's worth $300 million. Violence seems to be okay. Violence is never the answer.
No one's above the law.
No,
doesn't matter how rich you are.
But this is. I'm just wondering if that's learnt.
So essentially, we sort of sidetracked a bit into other reasons why people are react, behave unfairly, unequitably, and ultimately the Will Smith thing, I think, is useful as an analogy in that is a person who was the highest of his, lauded in the industry, completely lost it. And in fact, for me, the slap wasn't the thing that shocked me. It was all the shouting and the swearing and stuff.
Twice.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm with
you.
So
that was not just
shocking.
A one-off slap. It was a slap and then a further and we'll have to have another discussion about this, because it's a behavior that I've seen with people that take cocaine a lot. It's a angry. I'm not saying Will Smith takes it, but that kind of
just to be clear, in case his lawyers are watching, that is Will not Smith, what our guest is saying. He is talking in general terms.
Yes.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, well, cocaine makes you into a raving lunatic. Yeah. That's all there is.
I've seen people on cocaine. It turns nice people into absolute arses.
It does.
And it does. I had a business partner who I realized was on it, and I had to get rid of them.
You have to. So ultimately, you've got people at the top of our society, the nature of our TV shows, the nature of our magazines, the nature of social media, Instagram, where it's all about this vapid and superficial side of things, and people are sitting there with their phone, and it's like a reflex. So ultimately, because obviously we're maybe limited for time, obviously those people cannot be changed until they understand that the behavior they commit is because of their own trauma. And that's something which comes to us. I'm 50, you guys are a little older. You look better, obviously.
Well, I'm not doing the Fu Manchu look.
Are you not? No.
I had all that. It looks very professorial.
Absolutely.
The advantage you have. What's that? The advantage you have, Jonathan, is somebody can ask you a question. You haven't the faintest idea, then you can go, that's a very interesting point. And you look like a professor. It's genius.
Exactly.
That's why I'd quite like to smoke a pipe.
I'm loving this beer thing. This is very good.
and the thing, that's why I'd like to smoke a pipe. Because someone could say, da-da-da-da-da. And I'm thinking, that's what I have for dinner. But I can go, very good point, Neil. And I look like I'm a genius. And I'm still as stupid as I always was. Let me read this. This is coming in from New York State. It's Razor Don Brown. Male abuse is riddled with shame, blame, and denial.
Yeah.
It's often excused by the victim, and the victimizer. As a society, we give very little attention to male abuse and the effect therein.
Yeah,
the point
bravo.
I was making about Savile, sorry, and I want to get back to you, Jonathan, was this. I was stunned by the number of people who privately messaged me after that documentary, guys who'd been abused. And I was like, oh, this is a can of worms I was not expecting. Anyway, that's for another day. That's for another day.
So ultimately, I realized that the behavior of people cannot be changed. This movement, social Me Too. So the reason I called it social Me Too is obviously because of the Me Too movement. That did create actual change, and some of the people that had that behavior, the high profile ones, were taken down, but it's an endemic problem throughout society, industries of all sorts.
Can I just comment?
Please.
And you never hear this on other media outlets because they're too scared to do it. But to be honest, I'm not, or maybe I'm just too stupid. Is this some of the people who were leading the Me Too movements were the worst perpetrators of playing the Hollywood game?
Really?
I know that from the people who are we're not in the Hollywood industry, but I know this from top film producers, and they go, X and Y, you must be kidding. This is how they got to the top. It wasn't through talent. I'll leave it at that. Of course, it has been as old as time, since the 20s, that, that was going on in Hollywood. Since the 20s. This is nothing new. And the people go, oh, I never knew it. What do you think the casting couch was? My God, absolutely right. Was it right? No, it was never right. Did God knows how many actresses play along because they would, they wanted that career? Yeah.
I would challenge you.
I'm not condoning it, please.
No, but I would challenge you on playing along. I would challenge you on that simply because the Rose McGowan, her book Brave, talked about her experience, and she didn't even name Weinstein, but she was talking about that situation. And let me tell you, there was no playing along to be had with the way he behaved, and there's no playing along to be had if your life, your career, your earning capacity is in the hands of someone who's making sexual advances. You feel you cannot say no. You feel that this has been going on for so long, I'll have to take one. But so I disagree with playing along. I think unwilling victim, knowledgeable victim, knowing that you're being abused and exploited.
I think you're absolutely right. But I think you own, and it's a kind of, it sounds like I'm condoning. I want to be very clear. I'm not in any way, but it's a deal they make with themselves. I want to be an A-lister. I want to be a star. And if it means I've got to do this, which is unpalatable, all right, totally unpalatable, some people are willing to make that deal.
I think they're both true. I think there are some people like that, and I think there are also many, probably more, who literally just wanted to do it because they loved it and wanted to get to the top because they were so good at expressing what they're doing. And then we're faced with that situation. But again, it comes down to the power being with someone else, and that's why I'm so grateful.
And the Weinstein thing was never about sex. It was only ever about.
No, it's about power, or more accurately, lack of power. Because powerful men or women don't need to behave that way. If you're truly powerful, you have no need to behave that way. It's all about. I've had a theory for ages that rape is not about. People say it's about power. I would add to that lack of power. You wouldn't need to. There's no need to behave that way if you feel good in yourself and confident in your own abilities. You don't need to take other things.
I want to just get back to Hollywood.
Really?
I want to get. Yeah, I know it's repulsive. I want to get back to Hollywood just for a second. Unless you've been to Los Angeles and spent time there, you don't realize it's what my late friend Francis would call a mining town. If you're not in the industry, there's no point in being in Los Angeles. Being anywhere else, you don't need to be there. And when everyone who's serving you, every waitress, every waiter, everyone's wants to be a star. Every minicab driver, it's the same. They all want to be a star. And when you think to yourself, and this is the only spin I can put on it, and it's not a great spin, that there are how many A-listers in the world? A handful of big stars. There's thousands and thousands of actors and actresses, but there's only a few big stars. And, you're competing in the most enormous, brutal arena. And when you're offered that role, and it's a disgusting situation, but, it doesn't excuse it that it's been there for nearly a century now. You think about it, because we're in 2022, 1922,
explains it rather than excuses it.
Yes, I think so. So looking at that whole side of things is only just looking at a parallel as to why people are the way they are on social media. The behavior, the actual physical behavior in the real world, given the whole world in the palm of your hand, if you've got to understand it. I mean, so I look at porn, okay, for the purposes of it, but that doesn't then extend to the way I talk to actual women that I meet and interact.
Do you feel desensitized? Do you see a lot of the current wisdom? I don't know, the current thinking. I'm not going to use the word wisdom. Is that exposure to porn, right? Especially at a very young age, which I think rolls right the way back to
the school thing.
Yeah. A statistic you talked about, school kids, is that it desensitizes you. And if you're a young kid and you're looking at this, you think, well, every woman acts that way. Well, they don't.
Yeah.
Not every guy acts that way. They don't. It's not real life any more than the Kardashians is real. None of it's real.
No.
It's a hugely exaggerated version.
It becomes difficult because it stimulates the pleasure centers, the dopamine centers, and then they get burnt out. So it's not a bit like if people are on drugs, they say you can never replicate the first high.
Yeah,
it's overstimulated. You need more the next time to get the same high. So that's why people start watching more and more extreme things. It's to do with the dopamine centers in the brain.
Yeah. So is that one
and treatable as such?
Is that only is that one of the factors? And it's only one. Let's not.
No, but I'm just saying that I'm not even trying to pretend that I'm perfect by any stretch. And watching porn is a fairly base admission to make, but I make that simply to say that I think I'm quite a feminist, but still watch porn. So,
well, you can rational. I'm putting words into your mouth. Forgive me,
but you haven't yet. But
if you can rationalize this, you're not going to walk into Tesco's and think that every woman walking around is a potential, porn star.
I mean,
because they're not. They're in.
I don't have a problem with what you said there, Jonathan. I mean, I've watched Silence of the Lambs, but I've never gone and eaten anyone's liver. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because thinking people are intelligent enough to be able to separate the two. Unfortunately, some people aren't, and that's another level of confusion. If people can go up to soap opera stars on the street and go, "I can't believe you treated your mother like that," which happened to John Altman.
It happens all the time. They think it's a blooming documentary.
And I just think, I don't want to be rude, but this is about mental health. How thick are these people? How can they not see it's not real?
Well, they can't. I
sound like a Daily Mail reader.
So let me
like a rational person.
Let me draw a number of strands together then. So we talked a little about religion, and religion, whether you do it or not, is about your belief systems. It's about how you interpret the data coming in from the world. Now, I'm dyslexic, and as a consequence of that, I experience the world multidimensionally. I'm always constructing in my mind different points of view of the situation I'm in. So it's easy for me to empathize with someone because I can imagine their perspective without even trying. They just talk to me.
That's a great gift to have.
It is, and it's the reason why
I follow it. I'm not sure I get the gist, but I don't understand how the mechanics of it are working.
Right. So
you think in pictures. You're quite right, brain. You think in pictures and images a lot.
Yes.
Yeah. Have you done any NLP, Jonathan?
I've done NLP. I'm an NLP practitioner.
Yeah, so you're visual.
Yeah. So, but it's literally right. So the comparison with normal brains is this: you'll be walking to work, thinking about your boss, thinking about lunch, thinking about the washing you've got to do, thinking about having to get the dog's toenails clipped, thinking about a wife with a girlfriend, wife argument with your wife, thinking about holiday in the next few months. So everybody is wandering around the world in a functional state, living, but having 9, 10, 15 thoughts
Always
in their head.
Jonathan, can I invite you back because I have our next guest. You're welcome to stay.
Oh, please, I would.
Do you want to stay?
Yeah.
This is a completely different subject. Even with the best will in the world, Neil Long, as a pro of many years, I cannot segue this neatly. It's a complete bump. All right.
Can I just ask Jonathan one more question very, very quickly?
It has to be pretty quick.
Really, really quick. Actually, maybe you'll have to come back. I want to know.
No, we're going to get you back. Come back this week.
Come back. This is too much to do.
Right. Jamie Crummy. Don't go away, Jonathan. How are you? This is another subject which is so close to my heart, and I know that I've shoehorned you in, but I'd rather have you in for a little bit, and then you can come back. Tell us about yourself and what it's all about. You'll like this, I promise.
Well, first of all, gents, thank you very much for having me on today. So, I am Jamie Crummy. I'm one of the co-founders of Too Good To Go. We're a social impact company. I can see Neil's just been showcasing our app there.
I have the app.
Love to hear it. Absolutely love to hear it. And really, at the core of what we do is we have a mobile app which connects individuals, just like myself and you guys, with businesses, the forms of Morrison's, Costa Coffee, Starbucks, etc., who have surplus food. So we connect people with businesses who have surplus food for sale, all as a way to reduce food waste. So people purchase for a reduced price a magic bag, a surprise bag filled with food that would otherwise have gone in the bin, pay a reduced price, and then collect it from that business at the end of the day. So a fun, simple, and effective way for us all to fight food waste.
Look at that. Elizabeth Green from Manhattan is saying, I use them in New York with my restaurants. There you go. Why? This is such a bugbear with me. The sell-by dates, Jamie, are they nonsense or what? Because, it doesn't suddenly go from Tuesday and suddenly at midnight it turns into crap. Talk us through it.
It's confusing, right? It certainly is confusing. I mean, you go to a supermarket these days, you'll have a use by date, a best before date, a display until, a sell by, an expiration date. I mean, it's too many things that it's perplexing, it's mind boggling, it's confusing. And so as a result of all of these dates, for us as consumers, as individuals, we don't really know which one we're supposed to be listening to.
No,
but I guess there's two which we should be looking out for. And the first one's the use by date. So a use by date is a safety metric. And that will be on things like, fresh fish, fresh chicken, ready meals, the likes. Now, once it's gone beyond a use by date, we shouldn't be eating it because we're putting our health at risk. Whereas a best before date is all about, it's all about quality guidance. So you'll never get sick, eating something beyond a best before date. And what I always say to people is, use your senses, use your common sense. Look, smell, and taste food. Don't waste it. I think we all smell our milk before we pour it in our tea or coffee or on our cereals in the morning.
Why do we do that? For God's sake, we haven't kept it for 3 months. Out by the pig barn. It's in a fridge, for Christ's sake.
But really, it's just it's what we can do with best before dates. It's just use our common sense. Use our senses. If it smells okay, if it looks okay, if it tastes okay, then it's fine to eat.
All right. That's fair enough. The best before it drives me nuts because it's very, I'm sorry, I'm going to say it, it's misleading. I think most people would think, I better throw it away.
And I know people, if something, because I go with your train of thought, Jamie, if it looks and smells okay, then it's okay.
Yeah,
but I literally know people, if it's half an hour over the best before date. That's it. You've got to throw it away, and then it's going to be full of bacteria. Or if something's been left out of the fridge for half an hour, I've seen that's you can't eat that now. I'm like,
we're going to die. We're all going to die.
Yeah, I know. It's just a bit of an overreaction, to say the very least.
So what are you doing, Jamie? And I'm really sorry to cram you in at the end of this, but we've got 10 minutes. So set out your stall, as it were.
Sure, it would be my pleasure, Russ. So, as I mentioned, we have this app which is at the heart of everything we do. It's a really simple way for people to fight food waste. Now, this week we teamed up with the winner of the Great British Menu, a Michelin star trained chef, a guy called James Cochrane, runs an amazing restaurant down in London. And
what's it called? Do you know what it's called? I'm trying to put you on the spot. Sounds good though.
Yes, 1251. Lovely place.
Okay. 1251.
So we teamed up with James Cochrane here to create an experience. So we invited a load of food bloggers, of influencers to his restaurant under the guise that they were going to be sampling his new seasonal menu. Except there was one big twist. All of the food that people were eating was food which was rescued through the Too Good To Go platform. So it was all food which was going to go to waste.
Jamie,
clever,
that is really
good.
Smart.
Very, very good.
That's good.
It was food which was.
How many
rescued.
people died? How many of the guests actually died after this? Did they?
How many people? Come on,
mass
gents.
vomiting.
Everyone was having a great time. So it was, it was all food produce which was collected from, it was local bakeries, local greengrocers, fishmongers, and then the likes of Morrison's, of Go Puff. So some really great places were all involved. We all went and collected food that day from these places, brought it back to James's kitchen. He then turned this food gourmet. So it was Michelin style. It was absolutely delicious. I can account for it myself. I was one of the lucky few who got a seat at the table there. It was splendid food. And then, the surprises on people's faces was
Did you know, Neil?
Neil,
did you know we weren't we didn't? Did you get an invitation, Neil? I didn't.
Well, I did. Yeah, I couldn't make it. I was busy doing
Jonathan
overnights on Hospital Radio Bridlington, but I'm surprised you didn't get an invite.
Yeah, I didn't. No, I didn't. Anyway, moving on, Jamie. I'm not one to carry a grudge. Neither's Neil. Jonathan, however, don't be alone with him in a room because he's really pissed off.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. Anyway, he's really annoyed. So, all right, everybody ate this, and at the end, did you say, "And by the way"?
Yes. So at the end was the big unveiling, where we let everybody know that all of the food was rescued through the app, and it was fantastic to see people's reactions. They couldn't believe.
Brilliant.
And what was it? What was the dominant reaction?
A lot of jaws dropping.
A
lot of what? I can't believe this. This food is so fresh. It's so tasty. It's so delicious. So it was it was fantastic to see those reactions. And I guess the icing on the cake with all of this was we created a Michelin style-esque taste menu experience, and it cost £2.69 a head. It was fantastic.
Get out. No way.
Yes.
Because I love this. And I love what you did there. But I've had a thought literally in the last couple of days about this. This is before I knew you were coming on the show. And I'm looking at it now. I'm looking at the bargains on offer. And, people worry about food costs going up. But do you know, you could feed family very easily on this, very, very, very cheaply. If you were to just go around the local places once or twice a week, getting the thing, you could feed them healthily and cheaply. It's a great money-saving idea as well, and waste-saving idea, of course. Years ago, I thought to myself, why doesn't the excess from supermarkets go to local homeless shelter? But
Precisely.
you obviously have evolved the idea 100 times over. You got the whole structure for it. Brilliant.
Can I ask you this?
Thank you very much,
Jamie?
Sure.
Can I ask you this? I'd really like to work on a project with you. I'm absolutely serious.
Okay.
I'll keep it as brief as I can. My son, as a holiday job at school, worked at one of the Premier League football clubs, serving out burgers and sausages and, the usual stuff from a stall to make some money while he was at school. And at the end of when the match was over, they threw everything away. They had to throw it away. And I said, why isn't it going? Now, my point was, you're paying a footballer $200,000 a week. You can afford to hire a van, right, from budget or whatever the hell, and take it round to a food distribution centre. The reason is the football premierships.
Can you guess, before you tell him, Ross, can you guess what the reason is? Why it had to be thrown away, Jamie? The reason they gave?
Yeah,
Russ tells
I'm not going to tell you. Go on, have a guess.
I know.
So the reason why the Premier League clubs would throw the food away rather than redistribute it, I'm sure it would.
Why do you think?
It's probably going to be doing something to do with food safety. So hot hold.
Nope.
No.
I'm throwing it over to Team Jonathan. Jonathan, let's take your first answer.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be health and safety. That's what they tied.
I'm sorry, you're both wrong. I'm so sorry. We'll go on to the next round in a moment. It was because they didn't want the wrong sort of people hanging around a multi-million-pound club. That's why.
And
that was the
obviously, all people
given.
that go to football matches are lovely and wholesome.
They all wear suits and ties and are very, very polite and would never chant anything racist either. So, Jamie, this is a fantastic thing you're doing. How long have you been doing this for?
So we started Too Good To Go just over 6 years. 6 years ago now. So it's not been a long time, but it's also not been a short time. But we're starting to make some great progress, and it's interesting you talk about football clubs there. So we've actually just started working with Chelsea Football Club, and we work with some other sport venues as well. So the likes of Worcester Warriors Rugby Club up in the Midlands, where we redistribute all of their food left over after match days and things like that. So we are getting better, and we're going to start changing the ways in which football clubs certainly are redistributing their food and not wasting their food. But in these past 6 years, in the UK alone, we've rescued over 11 million meals from going to waste. Wow. So we work with, it's over 15,000 different food businesses across the UK. And it's, brilliant to see how many organizations are now proactively wanting to take action against food waste.
Good.
The thing is, Jamie, this is not a poor country. This is a rich country. I know we're not feeling rich at the moment, but in the great scheme of things, this is a rich country. To have food banks and to have then stuff being thrown away, it's almost criminal. It's something I feel passionately. I know Neil.
Well, it is, and unnecessary too. And things like this take a big step to stopping this. I do honestly believe there's more than enough for everyone. It's a question of distribution outlets and people's attitudes.
No, it's so true. And I mean, if I was to give you some statistics here, 40% of the food that we produce globally ends up being wasted. So
40?
we're producing
40?
No way.
40,
no,
40%.
Jesus.
Dear God, and we wonder why we have problems.
We use a landmass the size of China to produce food, which ultimately gets thrown away. So there's more than enough food being produced to feed everyone. And, the very fact that we have food waste is the true injustice here. It makes no sense. I often say food waste is one of the world's dumbest problems. We can solve it quite simply by utilizing things like technology. And, I feel like we're getting there. We're definitely chipping away at the tip of the iceberg through innovative, technologies like Too Good To Go. But there's still so much more that we can be doing.
Isn't it interesting that you two, both totally different subjects, but I just want to posit this to you both, Jamie and Jonathan, that social media can be such a force for good, like with Jamie Crummy with Too Good To Go, which is on an app, and it can be so destructive as with what you're trying to combat, Jonathan.
I agree.
Bullying and sexual aggression. And this is the perfect it's the most perfect microcosm of two guests who don't know each other, and one's fighting the injustice of social media and one is using it for such great
Yeah.
And a noble cause. I know noble sounds silly, but I mean it. Guys,
Jamie, you're using it for social reasons, and Jonathan, the people you talk about are doing anything but social.
So it's anti-social.
Anti-social media.
It's an extraordinary, life.
But again, it's not the tool; it's the people that use it.
Life is never that straightforward. It's been a pleasure, guys. Jamie and Jonathan, I'd love you to come back, please, because I know you have a big social network. Would you please talk about Men's Radio Station? Our app, the Twitter handle is at Men's Radio STN, short for station.
Is this show going to be available on YouTube? Because I can download it and
will
upload
absolutely be available. I'll send you the link, Jonathan, because I've got your details. Jamie, I haven't got your details, but I will get them through Mark. We've got to go, gang. We'll see you. I forgot what today. We'll see you Friday. Until then,
thank you, everybody.
Take care. Thanks very much.
I've got about a million more questions I want to ask you, Jonathan.
They're coming back. Bye, gang.